Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tony and this is my first video back after a 2-month break, so I hope you've had a lovely summer, or winter, or monsoon season, depending on where you are on this increasingly crazy planet. It's absolutely chucking it down now. We're sliding into autumn here in West Island and my summer has been a little bit extravagant, at least by my standards. I've probably burned through more cash this summer than I have in the last few years, and I'm not gonna lie, it felt really good. Well, mostly. Because splurging like that is a little out of character for me, so I still get that tiny, familiar twinge of anxiety. Do you know the one I mean? Shout out to my viewers from a working class background. So I wasn't planning to kick things off with a video about money. I was just going to post a quick summer catch-up vlog showing all the things I've been up to. But the thing is, money's emotional, and talking about it, or talking about all the different things you've been spending it on, can alienate people. You know, that whole, well, it's all right for her, she must be rich, I bet she's rolling in money. And while I don't have to justify myself, I do know how crap it feels to be that person, because sometimes I've been that person, looking enviously at someone else's life and then feeling really guilty for even wanting the things in the first place. It's this horrible combination of jealousy and then feeling guilt about feeling jealous and wanting more. So this isn't just a summer catch-up vlog. I think there's a bigger story about spending and guilt that's worth exploring. So before I show you what I have been up to, let's quickly break down these money personalities. And please remember to like and subscribe if you're enjoying my videos. Now, there are various models and frameworks out there, all with different labels. Maybe you're an avoider, or an investor, or an optimizer. Maybe you're a compulsive moneymaker, or like me, a saver splurger. There are lots of different approaches and huge overlap between them, so you can go and explore all those if you want to. But in my opinion, the simplest is the spender, saver, money monk model. And the first two are fairly self-explanatory. The spender loves the thrill of spending and tends to buy impulsively. They're usually quite generous people with others and with themselves, but obviously they struggle with saving for the future. Then the saver's all about security and building that nest egg. They research every purchase and genuinely enjoy watching their bank balance grow. But sometimes the saver can save so much that they forget to actually live. And this is where savers can tip into being a money monk. It's when spending feels sort of morally questionable. So we might have enough money, but we still feel guilty about frivolous purchases. It's kind of like the dark side of frugality, and it's often the result of growing up in an environment where money was tight or spending was just seen as selfish or wasteful. Now, I gave up reading those how to be frugal lists a long time ago because I realised I was already doing them and much more besides. Frugality's great, but when it becomes your default setting, it starts stripping all the joy out of life. So for recovering money monks like me, the challenge isn't learning how to save, it's learning how to spend without feeling like we're doing something wrong. Like a lot of people, I grew up with that classic save for a rainy day mentality, and it served me well. I know how to save and budget, I can survive on the absolute basics. Just as an example, at one point in my life, I'd pared my entire cosmetics and toiletries down to just 6 things. A toothbrush, a bar of soap, an SPF moisturiser, a deodorant, a mascara and a tinted lip balm. And it was one of those phases where I weirdly enjoyed the challenge of extreme minimalism, not just to save money, but to see how far I could take it. I haven't lived my whole life like that, but I've almost always lived well below my means. The thing is though, frugality was never meant to be permanent. It was about saving every penny to eventually reach some vague future point where I could enjoy life more fully. But the frugality mindset becomes its own trap. When it becomes a habit, constantly denying yourself can start to seriously limit your happiness and your personal growth. So eventually, extreme caution with money can actually start to contribute to anxiety rather than reduce it. The fear of losing money starts to outweigh the pleasure of spending it. And we've all heard those stories about millionaires living like paupers, and we can see how tragic and ridiculous that is. And let's be real, meanness and miserliness is never an attractive quality. No one wants to be that guy, and hopefully I haven't been that guy. Not too much anyway. But I definitely got a little too good at making do and holding back. And in hindsight, I actually have way more regrets about the money I didn't spend that would have made life better. Like a decent bed for starters. So that's one thing I spent some money on this summer. An Emma mattress. They had a sale that was too good to miss. Then there are the invitations I wish I'd accepted. Like that road trip to New Orleans back in 1999. And then there's that photo floating around from a friend's wedding, and every time I see it, all I can see is the shoes. And I think, why on earth didn't I just buy the nice shoes I wanted that would have gone perfectly with my dress, instead of turning up in those god-awful clunkers? Back then, it was all about saving for some unknown future. But more recently, I've been asking myself, what exactly am I waiting for? At what point do we actually live the life we're saving for? So even now, spending feels a little weird to me, as if I'm doing something wrong. And that's why my summer of spending was so important. It was about making a conscious choice to invest in actually living life, rather than just saving for some far-off future that never arrives. So, let me show you what I've been up to. First, the bedroom makeover. For too long, my bedroom was just a box of insipid grey, beige and magnolia. As a long-term renter, I've never had the opportunity to properly decorate until I moved here. I wanted to be bold and go for something vaguely inspired by my favourite style era, which I guess you could describe as late Victorian or Edwardian. But for a long time, I lacked confidence. What if I hated it? It wouldn't have just been inconvenient, it would have cost me a couple of £100 in paint. So first I did just one wall and then a little bit of another wall, and I finally decided to go the whole hog. Not quite colour drenching, but I've done all the walls now and added a few extra bits and pieces. And while part of me still thinks that decorating is frivolous because it's non-essential, the fact is, this space makes me really, really happy. I love waking up in it, working in it, and just hanging out in there. So it's money well spent. All I need now is a nice antique desk, so I'm keeping my eyes peeled. Then there's the practical stuff. I invested in a new phone and laptop and a few bits and pieces to save my spine. The thing is, these are tools which support my work, my leisure, and my creativity, and the thought of my old ones dying filled me with horror, especially out here in West Island where it would take weeks to sort out. So again, all good investments. I also decided to splash some cash on a little holiday because it's been a couple of years since I left my bubble, so it felt like time to shake things up. I went to London and Sussex to see some friends, which included a spa day at a luxury hotel, something that felt uncharacteristically girly for me, but it was a lovely day and I shared it with an old friend who's gone through more than her fair share of shit, so we felt we both deserved some pampering. And then we went off to Alicante for a few days, which was wonderful. And finally, my biggest purchase this summer has been this. The polytunnel! This has been on my wish list for years, but these things aren't cheap, and just the thought of buying it gave me anxiety for a long time. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing when it comes to growing veg, and realistically, it's going to be many years before I recoup the cost through the food we grow. But it's about so much more than the money. It's about learning new skills, staying active, and enjoying the process. And in time, I think it's going to feel like quite a magical little space in here. And it's hot too. Feels like I'm back in Southeast Asia. So there we go, that was my summer of saying yes and giving myself permission to invest in things that genuinely make my life better. We all have a relationship with money, We're each facing a unique set of circumstances, priorities and resources at different points in our life. Some people need to learn how to save, while some of us need to learn how to spend money without guilt. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to encourage rampant consumerism, so I'm not talking about filling your house with clutter and fast fashion. But there's a real difference between mindless shopping versus thoughtful choices. And I'm still not the most spontaneous person when it comes to spending. I like to know I'm getting value for money, so I tend to research things quite carefully. But the fact is, investing in experiences, living spaces, and certain material products really does make life more joyful and satisfying. And in my next video, I'm going to share the list of things that I never or very rarely spend money on. Just for fun, really, because it's interesting to compare. So, as ever, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care, and I'll see you next time.